Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Today is Friday, we are about to finish this week and weekend is about to come. So me and my colleague DeMille are here to highlight what happened within this week. How are you, DeMille?
Hi Zaka, how are you?
I'm great. There are a lot of things that happened within this week in our continent, Africa, and all across the globe. So we will try to summarize the main things that we will talk today.
It has been a bit of a hectic week.
Exactly.
I want to start from Russia.
We have to start from Russia.
To give you a highlight on what happened in this week regarding Russia and Ukraine, Ukraine used a long-range missiles for the first time since the war started, which was supplied by the US government. So there are two things here. One, the US government is on the verge of a change. So the Democrats are going out, the Republicans are coming in. They only have this almost 2 months or less than 2 months of time to make all the swift decisions, which they are using to push more sanctions toward Russia. And Biden also gave the green lights for the use of these missiles towards the Russian territory. So that escalated the war to the extreme, because Putin was saying from the start, the day that Ukraine is able to use long-range missiles to attack inside Russia's territory, he will escalate the measures that they were going to take, which he did. To be honest, it was very scary to watch. So Russia used the first intermediate ballistic missiles. So this means a lot, to be honest.
And it actually will impact the future, especially the political demography in which countries are going to side on. And as you have said, Russia has already stated. So now it's like I already said that I will be protecting my citizen, I'll be doing what I have to do. So Russia already told that if Ukraine uses long-range missiles, then I will definitely do what I have to do. So this thing will lead us to one critical question. What is next?
So there are a few things that we have to determine when we say Russia used this kind of weapon. For example, the thing that makes this weapon very scary is it's not that it was nuclear packed. So it's not nuclear packed, but it's nuclear capable. So they can use it attached to, they can attach a nuclear warhead or a nuclear bomb into it and use it down the line. So that's the part that they wanted to show first. The second thing is it's not just one missile. So it launches as one, but when it lands, as you saw in the video, it goes into more than seven separate missiles, which strikes down using momentum. So its strike is very devastating and scary. So this is one of the experimental weapons that Russia developed that was never used in a combat zone. So this also brings another point of usage of experimental weapons in wars. So this Ukraine and Russia war, we have seen many experimental weapons being implemented in the war. So there are two reasons, I personally think. So one, major countries manufacture weapons. Weapons durability or performance or how much it would be worth for a country to buy it is determined on the war zone. So these powerful countries use proxy wars or other means of wars, or in Russia's case, it's direct conflicts, to display their power, to display the new kind of weapons.
How effective the weapon
Exactly. So until any weapon is used in a battleground, it's not really 100% there. So it gives it that credibility to sell it to other countries.
So it's also like a business, it has a business side.
It has a business side. So USA does the same thing, Russia does the same thing, UK does the same thing. So we have seen many kinds of experimental weapons in this war. For example, we have seen a lot of drones that were never used in previous wars, that are autopilots capable and controlled by AI. We have seen a surge on use of AI to take out targets and take out strategies on how to attack.
Yeah, you know what scares me the most is war happens. There is a lot of wars going on in our world right now. There has been like a lot, massive wars that happened before. In the future, there will always be a conflict. But the thing is, once the conflict is over, once the war is over, what's next, and the damage and all the consequences that we will face is the most scariest thing. Because even now, because of the Russia and Ukraine war, the effect is still seen here in our country with the inflation, with the price of goods, you know. So we cannot say, oh, it's happening there. We're all, as globalization is rising, we're all affected with one's action. So who's going to be responsible? Who's going to repair? The reparation of all those things that we will lose and are losing in this war, it's massive. And who's going to repair that?
So you could have not said it any better, Zaka. You're totally right. It's not only those effects, there is also the political effect it brings. So most countries are forced to choose sides. So there's benefits based on the sides that you choose. You need to be vocal about one country, you can't be vocal about one country, you have to support it in the UN. You know, all this comes together on and determines the all this comes together and determines the well-being of our world, give or take. Exactly. And when we see how did this happen, how did we get here, how did the Russia and Ukraine war started, we could list down more than 100 things that instigated it. But it all comes down to border and expansion of NATO and the fear of Russia.
And the feeling of security.
Yes, because Russia feels blocked by NATO. NATO and Russia had an agreement that it wouldn't expand more into Russia's territory. So all these conflicts or all these misunderstandings must be fixed before
going on to peace.
Yes, which Donald Trump is promising to do.
So without going from this war topic, let's move on to the war happening in our neighbor country, the Sudan war. It is very heartbreaking to see such kind of thing happening here so close, and in fact we don't know actually what's happening. We don't engage in it, and that's such a heartbreaking thing. As we all know, especially when the dark side, the most awful side about war is that it's not only a war that happens, you know, against two or more groups by weapon, the actual weapon, but also they use different mechanisms, different ways to affect and to target the target point. So I would love to talk about the gender violence, or the way that people living in Sudan, they're being affected by gender-based violence because of the war. And the war is not only currently, it's not only happening through weapons, but they're also using this gender-based violence. So just to give up a bit of highlight, in 2019, the long-time dictator Omar al-Bashir was overthrown. So once he was overthrown, there was a period of transitional government trying to take Sudan from that, the previous system, to the democracy, or to the democratic system. So through that era, there was different, there were like bodies that were believed to be civilian-led bodies to lead the Sudanese people. But eventually, you know, sometimes power is really
corrupting.
Exactly. You might find yourself in some position that you never thought you would find yourself, unless you have that self-discipline and a lot more. So because of that, at that time, the current leading party was classified into two. So the party was classified into two. The first one is the Sudanese Armed Force, and the other one is Rapid Support Force. So these two groups were competing. Like the whole war that we're seeing that's happening now in Sudan is caused between these two military groups. Who's the one funding them? Who's the one supporting them? That's something else to ask, I believe, because that has its own factor to what's happening in the Sudan, to the Sudanese people. But overall, this war is now going to the peakest level where people are dying. People are using the gender, there is a gender-based violence because of the war. As we know, when war happens, one of the first part of the society that are affected are women and children. So they are using that to make sure that the people will suffer psychologically. Because to repair that, to heal the psychological trauma that you will face after that kind of experience is hard. Exactly. So the most saddest part is, who is it to be accountable? Because UN and different bodies, they are asking this question, okay, then who is doing this? Because you know there's a lot of things happening in that country that you don't know who's doing what.
You know, the thing about this kind of war is what you just said. It's really hard to hold one person accountable for what is happening there, because this kind of instability, especially the kind that has been going on for this long, it creates a chaos where no one manages anyone, if you know what I mean. So the darker side of human nature starts to take over. And there are forces who, as you said, want to implement emotional torture to the other side, but they're the same people.
That is true.
But that would mean they are doing this to each other, as many countries do. That means they are doing this to each other. So, one, there's the war side, there's the political side, and I do not want to pass without saying there's the dark side of humanity side.
Yeah.
Without the politics.
Yeah, that is true, and that is so true. And either ways, now that you know, at some point it starts as two groups, or you know, those groups not having the same ground, and then it will spread to the society, it will spread to the civilians, and then you will see how impact it creates all across the country, all across, even across the globe, as the Russian and Ukraine war. So now when you ask, and now when we ask what the international community are responding to this war, that is where I feel so bad, especially as a country that lives very close to this place. There is humanitarian aid, but it's not enough. And you know that sometimes it's just a way to control you. Even the humanitarian aid that is given to you is a means to control you.
Very good. I want to ask you this question. It's very hard when who's funding it and who's fixing it are the same. Well,
when the problem means the solution is the same.
Exactly. We have been in this, we're in a world where war is profitable. You know, we are in a world where instability is someone's gain. And the Horn of Africa has been subject to proxy wars, in political instabilities, dictators, people put in power with
corruption.
You can name it. And to the point where there is an individual study that focuses on conflict in the Horn of Africa.
Yeah, that is true.
So it is a very strategical and important place. At the same time, it has a lot of resources. At the same time, it has large young population that could work. If this population does not work, they're going to fight each other. There are young people who are starving, who want to change their life. If you give them weapons, they're going to use that weapon to better their life. If you give them education, if you give them stability, if you give them sense of security, we have the youngest population, the youngest intelligent population that could work a lot, that could contribute to the world in a lot of ways. Yeah. But it's sad to see that that's not where our world is right now. And it hasn't been that way.
The thing is, when you look at different wars that are happening in our world, you will see this kind of things. It's not only about the war and the fight that they have using weapons, the actual weapons, but also the war that they use, again, as I said, the psychological impact they try to create through gender-based violence and so on. But this one that is happening here is just, it is not being told as it's supposed to. It's not getting that exposure, that explanation.
It feels silenced.
Exactly, it feels silenced, and it is silenced, as you can see.
You mentioned the same thing about Mozambique.
Exactly, and when you see, as an Africans, where are we going with this? Okay, where are we leading? Where are we? What are we actually doing to solve such kind of conflicts? because it's our responsibility, African Union, it's the African Union responsibility at some point to overcome such kind of challenge and create a ground, a point where both sides can you know, agree on. So that breaks my heart the most. I'm not saying this is the first thing that happened in history. This is something that we've heard, but we should be able to ask why as an Africans, and when is it going to stop?
While we are still in the war topic.
Okay.
So the ICC, the International Criminal Court, issued an arrest warrant for the Prime Minister of Israel.
You know, before we go deep to this news, I want to ask you, what did you felt when you read that news? It's like, is this actually true?
It's something really hard to believe, to be honest. Not that he does not deserve it or he did not do this, and I cannot be the judge of that. I want to say, from the point of how much it takes to be a criminal if you're a leader.
Yeah.
There has been...
You can't just pass it off. That's funny.
That's true. There has been years of footage, reports, live proofs of people being massacred, starved, being used as shields, and you know, a lot of things that it's really hard to even describe what we were even saying about earlier. And starvation was used as a weapon in war. Families were stricken while they were asleep. I'm not saying one side did worse or what the other side did worse. I'm just saying in general, and you see anytime the one who is more powerful attacks the one who's weaker, you can only beg the powerful to stop. So,
and when you know that that body has the support of money
and power and political advantage, which seems like they are in the tribe of losing it to some extent. But even all that, even taking all that into accountability, do you think this would change anything? That's the question, because this was not the first time a leader was accused or given an order to be arrested through the ICC. There are more than 120 countries under the ICC, International Criminal Court, who agreed to follow the decisions of the criminal courts. So Canada recently gave a statement yesterday.
Will you allow that to happen, or will you step in to prevent an arrest?
First of all, as Canada has always said, it's really important that everyone abide by international law. This is something we've been calling on from the beginning of the conflict. We are one of the founding members of the International Criminal Court and International Court of Justice. We stand up for international law, and we will abide by all the regulations and rulings of the international courts.
I was asked, would you arrest him if he comes to Canada? So his reply was, we have an obligation to the treaty that we entered under the ICC with other countries. So, which means yes.
Exactly, which means yes.
Yes, you would. But there are countries who does not agree with the ICC, so he can go to those countries and still have engagement with those countries too.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I felt when I read this news was that, is it the time now? Meaning, after all this life has been lost, after all those things has been destructed, now they see that this is wrong. I mean, like in the first place, they were the one supporting him. They were the one encouraging him, say, go, free the land, do that, you know?
It's still complicated, and now because, for example, just this happened the same week United States used its veto power to block United Nations decision to stop the war. You know, it's very complicated and very intertwined with each other. For example, if we see how much Gaza was destroyed and how much of land was claimed back
to Israel.
Yes, you see the bigger picture in a sense. So this is more than a war. This is a resettlement.
Exactly, you said it. And also it's about a question of identity and being superior. you know?
That is very
because
true.
the Palestinians, they're saying this is our identity. This is about our existence. It's not only about the land. It's not only about our home being destroyed or our kids being killed. It's also about my existence, my being, you know? So
My
it's also,
survival.
exactly, it's also about identity.
It's really sad. Have you seen the video of the father who found his 2 kids dead when he went to get their birth certificate?
So do you think he'll be a normal person after that?
I don't think the country will be normal after that.
I know.
Have you seen like the map, the Greater Israel, after?
Yeah.
It's pretty scary. I just didn't want to go without mentioning this, but we will follow up on what will happen, on how the ruling will proceed, and what countries reacted and how they reacted to it. This is a bit early to dive into it, but we just had to mention it.
Yes, I mean, oh my goodness, let's relax our shoulders.
Yes,
I feel like we talked about war too much.
Exactly.
Let's go a bit to the entertainment.
Please do.
Enough with the war for today. You know that there are a lot of black people representing Africa, representing their descent in the international stage. Especially in the entertainment industry, the first for me that I will mention is Viola Davis. So she is, especially in the entertainment industry, she's one of those people that a lot of people will proudly prove and be an evidence that she's bold and she has paved way for a lot of black people to, you know, take the decision and get into this industry, you know, against all the racial discrimination and everything. Her spirit is strong, and she is a person that has her own print in this industry. And because of that, her work has been recognized and she has been given a lot of awards. But in the coming January 5, she will get this huge award, especially in this in the Hollywood industry, which is called the Golden Globes Award.
Let me do it this time.
You should, oh yes, thank you. I was like, why is he not doing that?
That's really amazing.
I know. And this, especially the president of this award, Helen, said that she expressed the Viola Davis as a luminary. She has been a person. She has encouraged a lot of people to listen to their voice, starting from her we can mention from her movie The Help to The Woman King, where she was not acting, she was becoming her character, you know.
I remember the Woman King coverage was one of your first episodes as well.
Yes, you know, like I saw the movie, I read about it, and now that's why I see, because now when I think about Viola Davis, I see her in different forms, because every work that she has done, she became it. Yes, she became it. She was not acting, she was part of it, and she included, and you can see that. So she deserves this, and this Golden Globes award is given to, renowned to almost like 69 Hollywood actors. Imagine, only 69. So imagine how special this is. So they would prepare a gala dinner for her on January 3, and the award will take place 2 days after that. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you for representing us.
I'm sure we'll have a very big coverage from you.
Oh yes, I mean, don't spoil the surprise.
I am excited. I would like to also mention, speaking of black excellence, have you seen the new Gladiator movie?
No, but my goodness.
Without spoiler, let me just tell you one thing.
Sure, please go ahead.
Gigi's music is in there.
I don't know. Now let me do that. I was supposed to do that.
So we'll talk about that deeply. But
yes.
Just watch it.
I mean, we're going out there. We're going out there. And cheers for us.
That's very good.
So I think, again, we can mention a lot of things happening in the world right now. But as a wrapping up our staying, I want to talk about one major thing that I want to know your reflection on it. As we all know, there are a lot of resources, a lot of, as we all know, as an Africans, we have our treasures all across the globe. British Museum, we can say, literally, British Museum is African Museum. So, and in progress, we are, you know, those treasures are coming back to us, we're bringing them. There was this news that I heard. The reason why I'm talking about this is because in Congo, especially when we talk about the freedom of Congolese people, we cannot mention Lumumba. So he has paid his life, he has paid his a lot of things for the Congolese people, for his people to be free from the Belgian rule. But sadly, at the age of 35, he was shot and dead. And you know what's the most fascinating thing was? They dissolved him in an acid, and while that was happening, one Belgian officer saw that, and he was like, no, at least we need to have some evidence to know that we did this. They took his golden tooth out, and that was just like, you know, a memorial of the whole scene. So 2 years ago, that treasure was given back to the Congolese people. So that is the only memory that the only treasure that they have left from Lumumba.
So that was why it was this big.
Yes, yes. So now that tooth is kept in a mausoleum in its own, you know, building, safe and sound. But lately there was this rumor that said, "Oh my goodness, it's
been stolen."
Exactly, the golden cup has been stolen, and that was such a. It created panic.
Bone crushing for
exactly for the people, because that's the only thing they have left to remember
their hero.
Exactly, their hero. Not only for the Congolese people, but also for the African Union, for the formation of African Union, for the liberation of other multiple African countries. He was a Pan-Africanist, we can say. So now his daughter has mentioned that no, it's still here. It's sound and safe. They in fact changed the location.
It could have brought an instability to the country.
Can you and also the emotional pain that the people will go through, because we do know that Congo is facing a lot of problems right now.
Yes,
and on top of that, losing such kind of big treasure is pain.
Congo's history is one of the most empowering and saddest I've ever had the liberty to read.
But you know, as our time is going, let's conclude on our today's topic by mentioning about our African resource. What shall we do as a youth to protect the ones that we have here, and to try to bring back some of the treasures that we have all across the world?
I want to start by saying, regarding the treasures we have all around the world that was looted, we can say looted, even though they found a way to legalize the ownership they have of it now, but it was practically looted. So some of the reasons that are given when an African country asks for their treasure back is, no, your country is unstable. You might lose or you might damage the artifact without knowing it. So it's better that we keep it here, but no, we can't give you visas to come and visit.
It's like, huh?
Yes. No, you have to wait for a 2-year visa to come and visit an artifact that we stole from your country.
Which is basically yours.
Which is basically yours, and it has spiritual. So what we need to understand about our African artifact is it's not only about beauty or how good it looks. It is spiritual. It's religious. Most of them are. We have thousands of scrolls from Ethiopia in the Britain Museum, which are not even out for people to see. They are locked in a storage room. The same to thousands of artifacts which are repeatedly reported that they are damaged, they are stolen from the museums in Britain and also other countries. Even if we pass that, books that contained traditional medicines. Why do you think many great countries, like Britain, Germany teach Ge'ez at master's level? It's to translate the books, because we have ancient knowledge, thousands of years of knowledge, both in writing, in sculptures, and every other imaginative way to communicate that you can think of that they were in the ancient times.
Yes, that's so true.
So it's not only about bringing back a stolen object. It's about having the spiritual grace.
It's part of your identity.
It's part of us. And it's one-worlded. Like, it's taking away for our generation, in the next generation, it's taking away the chance of them knowing their history, feeling proud of their history.
Yeah, that is true.
This picture has been painted that the modern era of Africa started after the European settlements, or, but it's not.
Like
and
we had our own system of governance.
We had our own way of development.
And for that, the proof, the evidence.
And those are not with us. We can say most of them.
True, exactly. So yeah, I think we can say a lot of things regarding the resources and all the treasures that we have that are scattered around the world. You have mentioned that countries like Germany and other countries are teaching us in doctorate level. So I believe the time that we're at now is a time of competition. Okay? If you don't wake up and do what you have to do, someone else is going to do it. You know? So we cannot always be like, oh no, this is stolen from us, this happened to us. Yes, it is what it is. That's the reality.
It has been done.
See it, actually believe the reality, don't deny it. Now we're on the denial stage.
Yes,
so,
that's true.
Right? So we have to believe the current situation, believe, see, acknowledge, and if it's something that doesn't work for you, do something to change it. Educate yourself. Awareness is the key. If, yes, are we learning this individually? Is it being given as an institution in an institution level? No, that's not something else, but still.
But we are complaining about it being stolen.
Exactly. So let's do something about it, because this time is clicking and everything is a competition.
And I believe our generation has a great advantage in that. The technological advantages that we have in this generation.
I'm telling you.
It's just a click away, for most, at least. But
you know, me and you can make a huge difference.
Exactly. But also there are others who need more to get reached, but I really agree with you, Zagay. This was a really great episode.
Oh, yes, I know.
Thank you.
So, guys, this is what we had for you guys this week. We tried to cover up some major events that happened this week as we are concluding it, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you guys think for our digital audiences below this video, and those of you guys that are watching us on mainstream, please feel free to share us your idea on our short SMS 6121. Have a blessed weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.